It was Sosa Palooza.
It was.
This weekend.
And I'll give credit to Crawley and I forget his name, the card collector. Last name Thompson. I think his name's Bo.
That sounds right.
I feel really bad because the amount of times I've shook this guy's hand, I feel really bad right now. But
yeah, Bo Thompson.
Yeah. They were going wild in the front row. We're talking about guys older than me going absolutely nuts when Sammy Sosa came out with the American flag on the stage, and it was cinema. Okay,
it was. He's a showman. And he knew what he was doing. It was great.
I was in the second row. Shout out to Greg Braggs because he lied to security and said that we had a seat when we didn't have a seat.
Why would you out him for that?
Because I think it's funny that we lied to security and ended up getting ourselves separate seats. I used to dream of times like this. I really did. Whenever he came out on the stage with the American flag after all these years, 21 years of not being with the Cubs, part of the Cubs family, whatever you want to call it. And did I expect them to put him in the Cubs Hall of Fame? I really didn't know what to expect because we haven't really got an idea of like what he told ownership to get them to welcome him back. It's all kind of just a middling ground. And so did I expect it? Not necessarily, but I obviously feel like he was deserving. He should have been in immediately. He should have been in last year,
right.
So all I'm going to say is that it was an incredible moment. And of the 8 out of 10 Cubs conventions that I've been to, including as working here and going and as a fan, this was probably my favorite one outside of the one going into the 2016 season. So,
I think there was an energy there that hasn't been there for a few years at least. I mean, I was there in 2017, right at 2 months after they'd won the World Series, and there was a lot of energy and excitement that year. But this just felt different. I mean, you could feel the anticipation during the opening ceremony on Friday night because everyone knew the moment was coming. Sammy was going to get introduced, but we didn't know. I don't think anyone knew that he was going to do the American flag thing, which maybe for younger fans it was September 27th, 2001. It was the first home game back at Wrigley after 9/11. Sammy ran out to right field with the American flag. It's this iconic moment. Look it up on YouTube if you've never seen it.
The amount of times I've seen it on my Twitter timeline.
It's this amazing thing. But what I saw during the course of the weekend with him too was this was a guy who could not have been happier to be there. For as much as the fans were loving to see him there, every time I saw Sammy, the guy was overjoyed. And it wasn't a show. I mean, we saw him in the back hallway behind the ballroom, just walking through there on his way to a panel. And he's high-fiving all of us while we stand there waiting to interview somebody. I mean, the guy was in a good mood the whole time. I'm sure, most people watching saw the video where he teaches the young fan how to do the Sammy hop. I mean, there's so many moments like that just from the 2-3 days of the convention that it just felt like, it seems like a shame that it's taken this long for this to happen, but we're glad that it did because he's absolutely deserving. He is such an important part of Cubs history. And, just the legacy of this franchise, he's a huge, huge piece of that. And as somebody who was in junior high school for most of his playing career, he's a big part of, my baseball fandom is Sammy Sosa, especially that 98 season. I was 16 years old. I was in high school. I mean, that was an incredible summer to follow that whole home run chase. So I have to admit to kind of feeling a little bit of an extra degree of excitement just because of that, because he was there.
Got any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Sammy Sosa, I think it was my cousin Donald had drawn a picture on a poster board of Sammy, doing. I think it was his batting stance, the arms extended, everything, and that was I remember it was in my aunt's walk-in closet, nice closet space, and it was just on the back wall, and it was everyone in our family loved Sammy Sosa because he was the Cubs kind of growing up, and Derek Lee, like I know that we'll talk about it, or I assume we will.
We will.
Like in that same breath, not the showman that Sammy was, but someone that you would model your swing after, someone that you would, run out to right field thinking that you were the one carrying the American flag, or doing whatever, and just these Sammy and Derek Lee are both players that we grew up thinking that's what we want to be.
Yeah, I think if I could take a moment that rivals when Sammy Sosa first came out with the American flag there on the stage and shook Tom Ricketts' hand and hugged him and then went around the stage again. The only other moment that I think rivals it, or maybe it even overtakes it, I'm sure the people who aren't happy about Sammy Sosa being back probably say that it's bigger, is when Ryan Sandberg came out during introductions on Friday. But my favorite part of it, other than the ovation because of what he's going through health-wise, is that after he acknowledges the crowd, he went and embraced Sammy Sosa.
Yeah.
It was a moment that I never thought I would see.
It's an important one.
Especially after when Sandberg gave his Hall of Fame speech, and there were some,
digs.
Yeah, some digs in Sammy's direction, or at least you could pretty easily read it that way. I thought the same thing when I saw them hugging. I don't know that I would have ever expected to see this happen.
It was, I don't know, man. Like, it was just something, what I watched on Friday was just something that I never thought that I would see, because as much as I sat here and did these rants these last 3 years about how he should be welcome back, at least should be able to, throw out a first pitch or something. The fact that they not only brought him back, they're going to put him in the Cubs Hall of Fame, and him and Ryan Sandberg have seemingly made up in a way. I mean, whether it's for show or not,
whether it was for the optics or not, it was an important optic.
It was, yes. Yeah,
exactly. So I just think that was just a big moment of, just for my own fandom.
I think everyone got their way. Everyone got what they kind of wanted to get out of this, and that was Sammy didn't admit to anything specifically. In fact, refuted a few things that had been out there. Tom Ricketts even said, I wasn't personally looking for an apology, but just more of an acknowledgement of kind of why his numbers were so big. And we kind of get that. We kind of don't, with Sammy not directly addressing his mistakes. But everyone kind of got their way, and now they can move past it. I think that was actually a way that Tom Ricketts put it, was it's in the past now. Now we're entering this new era of Sammy's home, Sammy's back. As long as there are no other hiccups along this, he's going to be in the Cubs Hall of Fame later this year. It's an important time for Cubs fans, and Sean, you're pointing at me.
Well, no, but hopefully he doesn't take steroids again. Hopefully from now to the Cubs Hall of Fame induction, there's no hiccups, and he doesn't, start juicing.
He might want to fill out his suit a little more. Maybe he's gonna,
I think it's so weird that Ricketts, who wasn't the owner when Sammy was,
he was upset on behalf of the Chicago Tribune.
It's like your stepdad being mad at you. I don't have a stepdad, but it's what I would imagine. This guy that I wasn't even playing for, that came in here in 2011, 2012,
2009,
2009.
He bought the team late 2009.
I don't even think Sammy's playing career was completely over. I don't understand why Tom Ricketts has to be the judge and jury of Sammy Sosa's Cubs career, when the reason that this franchise is as valuable as it is because of his Fruit Loops numbers, his Flintstone vitamin numbers. And I think it's just such a weird relationship that Tom kind of forced himself into. Just block out the noise, sell tickets, because people are going to go crazy for Sammy, whether he juiced or not. People do not care.
Well, and that's the part of it that I think he was too slow to recognize, is that, 20 years ago, fans were kind of up in arms a little bit about PEDs in the game and wanting to hey, these guys shouldn't be juicing, stuff like that. But now 20 years later, the sentiment has shifted quite a bit. Most fans would say, just generally speaking, we understand that this happened. We understand that most players were doing it. it's that era of the game, and it's grand scheme of things. Do we care that much? Not really, because if you go back to the 80s or the 70s, they were using amphetamines. It was something different. And so, these guys juicing isn't like they've introduced some new concept into the sport. Guys have been looking for an edge since the sport began. So that I agree with Sean. I think it was a little odd that stance was taken and that it took as long as it did for something to happen. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that it did.
One of the funnier tweets that I'd seen was from this morning or from today, that someone had said, I don't know why Sammy doesn't just admit, to what he had done. And someone said, well, I think that if I had told the federal government under oath that I didn't do something and they couldn't prove that I had done that, I probably wouldn't say that I did that thing.
And he was asked directly and specifically, were the mistakes that you referred to in your statement, were those PEDs? I mean, that's exactly the way the question was asked. And his answer was no.
Yeah.
So whatever. It's I'm with Ricketts at this point. It's in the past.
Yeah.
We're glad to have him back.
He did, Tom did say that he never asked for a direct apology. He just wanted to feel some sort of acknowledgement that, something happened.
But if you're the San Francisco Giants, do you hold Barry Bonds to that standard? Do the Oakland A's or the Cardinals hold Mark McGwire to that? I don't know. Yeah.
Team that reaped the benefits.
We all silly like the mayor.